know, I keep saying it, but I swear I wasn't interested in cryptids before I made this channel. And now I'm here making videos on Bigfoot and aliens and ordering books like this. So I just decided to lean into the whole cryptid fanatic thing. Now, I'm not reviewing Connecticut Cryptids, a field guide to the weird and wonderful creatures of the Nutmeg State by Patrick Scalisi, might be mispronouncing that, and Valerie Ruby Oman, because I'm still reading it. No, instead I've decided to do a video on cryptids. So let's talk about the Connecticut River Serpent.
Serpent! Serpent!
In 1886, two experienced boatsmen were on the Connecticut River on their skiff when they suddenly encountered something beyond belief. A serpent with a head the size of a barrel and a long, all-black body with a white stripe above its belly, rising roughly 10 feet above the water near the two men. It rose up, then plunged back down near their boat, nearly tipping it over. It was pure luck that kept the men from being thrown out of the rocking boat into the murky, monster-infested water. That's a story of just one of several sightings of the Connecticut River Serpent, or Connie for short, that have been documented since colonials first arrived in the Americas and continues today after peaking in the late 1800s. Over the next few years, farmers and other boaters would report sightings of Connie collaborating what the serpent looked like, although no encounter was quite that close. So what is Connie? Where are they today? And could there be any truth to these sightings?
Truth.
Let's start with understanding the Connecticut River. The Connecticut River is the longest river in New England, stretching from the border of Canada through 3 states to the Long Island Sound. The Connecticut River first formed around 10,000 years ago, near the end of the last ice age. It stretches over 2,000 feet across at its widest point and over 130 feet deep at its deepest point. It's a cool river with water that drops near freezing in the winter and into the mid-70s at its warmest. And it is beautiful. When you look up the Connecticut River, you will easily find pictures of the murky water surrounded by lush, beautiful nature. And that's partially thanks to years of effort to protect the river and its natural beauty. But the policies that protect the river haven't always been in place. It was once known as the best landscape sewer, back when pollution and dumping was common in the river. The story of the Connecticut River is one of dams, often put up with little thought to how they would affect the life in the river. People would put up dams to redirect and control the river for the logging settlements, farms, and power plants that were put up along its banks. And these settlements released human and animal waste, other toxins, and warm water from the power plants back into the river. And the height of the river's ravaging was in the 1800s, which would help explain why Connie was so active during that time. With an increasingly hostile home and a shrinking ability to traverse the river due to the new dams, many creatures who lived in the river would have had a hard time surviving in their old home. And the Connecticut River is home to more than just serpents. It's home to amphibians, reptiles, and dozens of fish species, including many migratory fish like freshwater eel. These eels, as well as several other fish species known for long, sleek bodies, could help explain at least a few of the sightings of the serpent in history. But even the biggest sturgeon or eel couldn't explain the claims that the serpent was over 100 feet long. It's of course possible that the stories are exaggerated over time, but 100 feet with a massive head that's said to resemble that of a crocodile, which would have trouble surviving in such a cool water, are hard to chalk up to just exaggeration. And even if people of the past were exaggerating, what about people today with their cameras and better knowledge of the river's native species?
Who's a native?
Well, today's spottings of Connie are rare, if not entirely unheard of. This could, of course, be because Connie or their species didn't survive the river's dive into industrialization. But some people speculate that Connie now resides in the Hog River under Hartford. And what is the Hog River?
We're all pigs.
The Hog River is a small river that cuts through modern-day Hartford, whereas the Connecticut River goes along the eastern side of the state capital. Much like the Connecticut River, the Hog River has a storied past with pollution. It got its name because of the many pig farms that were put up on the river's banks. As more settlements appeared, the river became a noxious dumping ground that in the early 1900s people took note of. Their first attempts to rein in the pollution in the river was to erect a park around it, which did help, but also did little to address how polluted the river already was. And after the river flooded in 1936 and 1938, city officials decided to take a more permanent solution to their sewage river problem by burying it. Tunnels around the river began being built in the 1940s, and over the following decades, most of the river was buried, with a few spots that can be seen above ground, as well as inlets and outlet tunnels that are accessible when the water is low. It's speculated that this cool and protected area could be housing Connie, but given the dangers of going into the underground tunnels, few people have seriously searched. And I can't blame them, that's the setting to a horror movie. That's how you get eaten by ancient monsters. But what is Connie? There's no hard scientific proof that Connie exists, but she's also very much in good company, such as Nessie in Loch Ness, Champ in Lake Champlain in Canada, and Lariasoro in Lake Como in Italy. There are dozens of lakes and river serpents, cryptids, and countless accounts of sightings. And that's not even accounting for their saltwater sea serpent cousins. And there's even historic or prehistoric precedent for sea serpents with plesiosaurs and just plenty of strange fish. We don't know what Connie is or if they exist or did exist in the past, only to die out, but there's a definite possibility that something large and serpentine once called the Connecticut River home. And maybe someday in the future, as the conservation efforts continue and the river becomes more and more friendly to its native life, there will be more sightings. So the next time you're in Connecticut, remember to watch the water. And for more information on weird cryptids, you can come back because I'll definitely be making more cryptid videos. And in the meantime, go out and read Connecticut Cryptids by Patrick Scalisi and Valerie Ruby Oman.